Okay, it is time for today's sortie. Today's sortie is Spy, Mobile Defense, and Rescue. And we are getting lucky with these. We are getting like the easiest ones imaginable. I'm a happy camper. Okay, so as you can probably tell by the title, today's sortie is going to be about Bionicle. Now, I'm going to be saying Bionicles quite a bit in this video because it just sounds better. I'm fully aware that Bionicle has the same tense, whether it's plural or not. That it's Bionicle and Bionicle, whether you're talking about one or whether you're talking about many. It doesn't matter. But I don't care. I'm going to say Bionicles because it just sounds better. It may not be correct, but it just sounds better. That's how the English language works.
They spotted you.
So, the reason I'm actually doing this one is because I kind of like was a fire inside of me was rekindled when I watched a video about Bionicles. Now I watched actually like two. The first one I legitimately do not remember from who it was. It was just like a random video about like the movies, and then the other one was from a channel known as Super Butterbuns, who does like commentary on like the Bionicle games and whatnot. So because of this, I have a bit of an opinion on both the games and the movies. And yeah, that's really it. Just I have a bit of an opinion to say in regards to both the games and the movies because of that reasoning. So when I was younger, but first I'm gonna like start with like how I begun to know them and all. When I was younger, I played with Bionicles all the time. It was one of my favorite things to do before I actually got into video games. And because of this, I really gained to like love them. Now, apparently, when I was like really little, my sister would like build them for me, but I don't remember any of that. I guess because it was like when I was really little, but I legitimately do not remember her ever having to like build them for me. And like I honestly thought that I built them always like on my own from beginning to end. As I said, I'll just believer to believer, but nonetheless. Now, Bionicles in themselves are basically just Legos that are a bit more complicated and make cooler things, sort of, depending on what you're building. But yeah. And they had like many different forms, and they have so much lore that would go on to an insane amount. They made like 3 movies, and I've seen all 3 of them, I think. I can't really remember the second movie at all, but I do remember the first movie pretty well, and I remember the third movie pretty well as well. And then they also had a few games. Now, I'm also, like, with the games, I guess I'm just going to go straight to the games for now. There were only 2 of them, and I didn't actually play the first one. I only played the second one for the PlayStation 2. I don't think I got this, like, right when it came out, but I'm pretty sure I got it when it was relatively newer, I think. And I played it to its entirety and just destroyed. Now, it was a very simplistic for children's games, and it was made by the people that made, like, the Lego Star Wars. Because of this, it had no commentary at all in it. There was no one talking at all. The only thing that ever really happened was, like, the bad guys would do funny, stupid things whenever you defeat them, and like, before you even defeat them, too. And that was really it. Honestly, the gameplay was pretty boring. Like, for me as a child, I thought it was good. But like looking back at it now, it was pretty bad because every mission was the an exact copy of one another, basically. Even like the boss fights were just like if you did one boss fight, you did every boss fight.
Terminal spotted.
And but that isn't really what I found a ton of enjoyment in this game. What I personally loved to do in this game was after you defeated a boss, well, some of the bosses, not all the bosses, you could you'd have them in like a zoo type of an area, where it'd just be a place where they were contained and they couldn't really do anything except for these random things that you could build around the map. Well, around their little containment field. And then you could just like sit there and watch and wait for them to just like do random things and like so on and so forth. And that's what I I enjoyed doing. I loved going there and then having all these random constructions built, and then the people would walk over and they'd have some funny stupid animation for that's it for it. They'd either like fight another one of the boss people, they just yell at themselves type what the heck? What the heck? What just happened? Excuse me?
Area completed. Move on. I need access to a terminal. Find one and patch me in.
Okay then, now that that ended. But yeah, that was really like the only thing that I found really good about the second game, and besides that, I think like that was really the only good part of it, as I was saying, like looking back, because as a child I didn't really care or mind about it.
Location reached. Drop me in.
So
And defend our position.
So that's the video game portion. Now when it comes to the movies, they were a bit odd. The first one was like the basic child's movie where they come up with some cockamamie plot and everyone lives happily ever after, basically. Like there were people that like sort of died in the movie, but then they ended up just getting like resurrected in the end of the movie anyway. And they were trying to like portray a really good like theme. Was saying how you should always like do your duty and respect others and blah blah blah, like that type
Still
of thing.
working on it. Continue to defend.
Which that was good, which that actually goes like hand in hand with the Bionicle's lore in general, which is hefty. Oh my god, there's so much lore. There's book after book after book about their lore. It's more like all magazine type deals, but nonetheless, there's quite a bit of lore. And then like that was really just like the end of the first movie. Is they beat the bad guy, they did their stupid quest, and all's well that ends well. The second movie, as I said, I really don't remember anything about it. To me, it's just, I know for a fact I've seen it, but I don't think I've seen it many times, and yeah, I guess maybe it wasn't that good because I can't remember anything about it, but that is just me like speculating because I cannot remember anything about it, and usually I remember every dirty little detail about a movie, no matter what it is.
Will take a moment.
Usually anyway. And well, I guess like that's really all I have to say on the second Bionicles movie, because of exactly that reason. I don't have any like knowledge. I can't remember anything about it, so I can't really judge it when I don't know what the heck's going on with it. Now I guess we can finally move on to like the last bit, well, the last movie, which is honestly like Bionicles 3. That movie I saw a few times, honestly, and it's pretty meh. I guess like in general the Bionicle movies are pretty meh, but this one especially, it actually does something that happened in like the first game, or the first movie, where one guy out of the group, who was actually the same color, was the red person, turns evil. Where he gets like corrupted and then turns evil because of it. In like the movie, he becomes it's like the basic usual whenever the hero becomes bad type story is he thinks that he's like not strong enough, that he's not worthy, so he seeks power with these people that are misleading him, and then blah blah blah, he turns good in the end. And then, like, the main bad guy was actually this one lady when it's believed to be this other guy. It was pretty meh. As I'm just gonna keep saying that it wasn't really all that good. I think that it was better than like the first one, I'd say, but in general, it still really wasn't all that much. So, yeah, I guess I really don't have like a major opinion when it comes to the movies of them, because I'm not really any normal movie critic. I don't really know what you do to judge them by. I think that like the story in general was half decent. Like I know I do have my thoughts on movies, but that's just like what I would change, and I haven't like recently seen those movies to remember every single detail. I do remember like a good chunk of it, but as I said, I really don't remember each one. And because of that, like I can't really do my mind thoughts usual style, which is like a name everything that happens in the movie in order, and then from there kind of decide things. But instead, it's this one. It's just like I just have like a general overview of what it was. I actually own that movie, but I don't own either 2 or 3. Or I own number 3, but I don't own 1 or 2 of the Bionicle movies. Now, when it comes to like the actual ones, I do remember at some point I did start completely making them on my own, and that I even made some really weird one where there was like there was a spider guy who is in, I think, the second movie. Well, I think it might have been actually female. A spider something. It was a spider Bionicle that had like these claw arms and like so on and so forth.
The bypass is done. Go.
And she was just like the usual bad guy, blah blah blah, evil. But there was a set where if you had her / him, I don't really know, and like 2 others, you would be able to like deconstruct each one of them and turn them into basically a bigger, cooler looking creature. And I know at some point I did build that. I remember for like the longest time I was holding off on like one of the people. I didn't have him. But towards the end, I don't remember how I got him. All I remember is that I did. That my family, and we got like the kit for him / her for whatever reason. And yeah. Probably gonna go silent real fast just so I can do this. Shit. Please? Yeah. Usually I never get the guy, but I've gotten him 2 times in a row. So, as I was saying, I don't remember how I got to build the big mecha dude, but he had like all these, he had like claws for hands. He had his own like jaw. Instead of just like being a mask, he was a legit, like you had to build his face. And I think that's like one of the reasons why he was more unique. He was a part of, like, as I said, like one of the sets, but he was not like his own set. It was a really smart idea, like on a business standpoint, because they had to, in order to build him, you had to get 3 other individual sets just to make him. He wasn't in any like movie or game or anything, but he was still pretty cool. My friend was also really into Bionicles at the time, and he also got a, this guy that had like a giant axe. He was all silver. both of us managed to get like a whole lot of like the bad guys and the good guys, and we would spend a big time like collecting them and like building our own random constructions. I remember at some point I had a guy that was like a whole lot of gold. Do I have any? Okay. There. So, and because of that, I like created some guy that I just called like the gold guy or something along those lines. And yeah, that's really it. And I would just make my own really weird constructions. And just like furthermore, I just thought like the Bionicles in general were just, they were a really good idea, and they were a whole lot of fun, especially for children. And I just like how I think they were discontinued at some point. I'm pretty sure there's still like the really weird versions, because I remember this was definitely still like a good several years ago, but I remember I got some huge kit for a guy that was all like green and black. This was in the time when they had like the shooters, where they advanced how you shoot, where instead of being like a little ball and then you push this little line behind it and that launched it, was really like how hard you pushed. It became more of you just had to squeeze this like the sides, and that would launch the ball with like the friction. And then they had like their own game with it, because there was like a dice sort of thing, and you had to spin a wheel on like the guy's back to determine how much damage he did. It was very cool how like I think those are some of like the final sets. And I think that towards the end they really started to get a bit insane with it. But I really liked the idea of like the game with it, and I think that it could have been a really good like actual game idea, where like video game type deal, where it was more of like a board game-ish video game style, where it was a role based, and depending on the role would depend on what moves you could use, and depending on what guy you had, and after buying this set you got an access code to that guy in the game, that type of deal. So I think that would have been a good money making idea for them anyway. Okay, well, this has been the Bionicle/Bionicles sortie video. I hope to see you all next. If you getting my words confused. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have anything to say, if you want to complain about me saying Bionicles, go ahead, say something in the comments. And yeah, so I hope to see you all next time, and I bid you all adieu. Goodbye.